Hi and welcome to my channel, That's So Blessing. Today we are doing a frontal wig install on a low hairline. We're starting off with clean hair as usual, washed and blow dried, and we're going to make a part down the middle. After separating those two sections, you're going to start your first cornrow, also known as your anchor braid. It's going to be pretty much what you would do if you were doing straight backs, except instead of going straight back, you're going to go across the nape like this.
G-Wagon, all the Benz, the getting ride good. I no fit, die for nothing. What's it gonna be? G-Wagon, all the Benz, the getting
After your anchor braid, you want to start with your straight back cornrows. You'll do them as you normally would. Remember not to make them too big, and they don't have to be super small either. Because she has a low hairline, I'm trying my best to grip as much of her edges as possible. The more of her edges I can grip and pull back and out of the way will create more space for me to lay the frontal and create a natural looking hairline. Of course, you want her to keep as much of her edges as possible. So if you're not able to grip every strand of hair, it's totally okay. Just grip what you can without causing unnecessary pain or a crazy amount of tension. We don't want it too tight. We want her to still have edges when she takes this frontal off. Each cornrow, I'm taking the previous end of the cornrow and I am combining it with the current cornrow. Basically, I'm just sticking the ends of the first cornrow in the second cornrow. Hope that makes sense. But when I get to the other side, I'm going to start with the cornrow closest to her ear, and I'm going to connect that to the end of the very first anchor braid that we did. If you're not able to connect the cornrows, it's okay. It's really not a big deal. It's just what I like to do. I find that it's easier, especially at the end when you don't have a million braids hanging. For the very last cornrow, I try to stick as many ends of the previous cornrows into this last cornrow as possible, and then I just sew it where it fits. I'll show you in a second. This is how I like to connect my cornrows. I just take the end and I throw it in the cornrow that I'm working on, and I'll kind of reposition my hand or reorganize the hair so the braid doesn't come out bulky. When finding a spot to sew down your ends of the cornrows, you want to find a spot to sew it where it fits nice and snug, where it's not going to cause, extra volume or extra bulk. We want it as flat as possible. Flat is always the goal. I'm also taking this time to tack down any braids that just feel like they need a little bit of help, a little bit of reinforcement. So I'm tacking those down as well, just because I want this to last as much as possible. Here I'm just showing you how close her hairline is to her eyebrows, especially in her, her temple, her sideburn area. This is going to be a challenge, but we're ready. I'm up for it. So I'm just going in with some 90% alcohol, cleaning all that makeup, any dirt. And now I'm going in with my Got2b gel to slick her edges back. I'm combing it back with my edge brush, and then I'm going to blow dry them into place. I like to blow dry them on medium to high heat, and I like to keep brushing them back as I blow dry just to make sure they're pushed back as far as possible and they stay nice and sleek. Now I'm going to throw her wig cap on, and I'm cutting a small hole next to her ear, and I'm going to try to pull her ear through. We don't want to make that hole too big. Now that the air holes are cut out, I'm going to sew the cap down. I'm pretty much going to sew it where I estimate the frontal will end, because we're going to cut off everything that's not under the frontal. This is the Ruby Kisses foundation that we're using today. Please pause and screenshot if necessary. I am just going to apply that all over the cap. This is not the time to be stingy with product. Use as much as you need. If it feels like you're using way too much, it's okay as long as you get the cap the right color. The cap needs to match her skin tone. I'm going in with my Ghost Bond Supreme. I'm going in front of her hairline. In front is really important. Going in front of her hairline. Her hairline is low, but I'm still going to go in front of it. Not too far in front of it, but we are not putting adhesive in people's edges. We are not putting glue on hair. We put it on skin. I ran out of my Got To Be Free spray, so I'm like, okay, let me try this Nairobi. Let me try this setting foam. Plot twist, it didn't work, so don't waste your time. If you have some Got To Be Free spray, this will be the time to use it. But while she is under the dryer, use a handheld dryer if you don't have a hooded dryer. But while she's drying, I'm going in with that same foundation and I am saturating that lace. I'm putting so much foundation because I need this to look like her skin. The lace is white and I need it to be brown. So it's going to take quite a bit of product and that is okay. I'm going to put as much as I need and I'm going to make sure it matches her skin tone. White lace especially is stubborn, so you can't just put it on the bottom. You have to put it on the top as well. And definitely don't forget to get in front of the hairline before the hairs even start. You can seal it in with Got To Be. That'd be my first choice. I'm out, so I'm using Spritz. It worked as well. We're going to spritz the top and the bottom, and spritzing the top is going to help us keep those hairs in place when we hot comb them back. They're going to stay backward. It's time to cut the cap. So I made a slit in the middle and now I'm pulling that cap towards me but also away from me at the same time. So basically I'm pulling it up and backward and I'm sliding the scissors under there and I'm getting as close to her skin, of course, without cutting her skin. And I'm doing that from middle to one side and the side to the other. Basically I'm doing it in sections. I'm not doing one big chunk. Your bald cap should look something like this. It looks very similar to the natural placement of her hairline in terms of how close it is to her eyebrow. I didn't bring the cap so far forward that now it's literally touching her eyebrow. After cutting off all the excess cap, I'm going in with the alcohol one more time to remove any product or makeup. And then I'm going in with my adhesive. I am very heavy-handed when it comes to product, so the dot method works best for me. I'm placing the dots where the cap and her skin meet, and then I'm using this applicator tool to smooth it out. You want to smooth it out as best as you can. Try to get that layer as even as possible. And then you also want to keep in mind that wherever the glue is, that's where her hairline is going to be. So smooth backward, don't smooth forward towards her eyebrows. While that layer of glue is drying, I'm going to go ahead and cut the lace off of her frontal. I'm cutting it jagged. I'm moving the scissors up and down as I open and close them to create a jagged hairline. We want it to be a squiggly line. We never want it to be straight across. I'm just holding the lace up to her forehead to check the color. This is my second layer of glue. Same concept, same process. I'm just going to go in dots and then I'm going to smooth it out. And I'm not going to smooth it forward and give her a smaller forehead. I'm going to try to smooth it like straight across left to right and then back. Because we're working with a low hairline, I'm not going to make my layer of glue too wide. Normally I would like it wider, but because I would be putting it on her hair, even though it's covered by the cap, I'm just going to be extra careful and I'm not going to do that just yet. Normally I try to do wide sections for a wide application for all of the layers, but this time I just did it for the last layer because I just really want to keep her edges nice and safe. The frontal wig has already been bleached and plucked off of camera. When you're working with a low hairline, you just want to pluck it really well, and instead of just plucking 2 inches back, pluck closer to 4 inches. Somehow I managed to record this in slow-mo, so then when I corrected it and I made it regular speed, it came out blurry. My apologies about that. So I placed the frontal on her head and I'm just kind of mapping it out. I'm looking at the frontal where it's placed and I'm making sure that I have enough frontal to lay in the groove from ear to ear. So I have her put her head like upward and back and I'm just gently placing it in the glue, starting from the middle and then working my way to one side, then the other side. I'm only tapping it in lightly so I can pick it up and move it if I need to. And then once I'm sure about the placement, that's when I go in and I tap it in with pressure to kind of seal it in. Once the frontal is placed down, I'm going to go in and cut any excess lace. So any lace that's not in the glue, you can either add more glue to glue those pieces in, or you can just cut it off. I choose to cut it off normally, and I'm doing that from ear to ear. Bear with me just a few more seconds. This clip is almost over, and then it'll be back to 4K. You want to flip the lace upward and hold the scissors diagonal, basically going in the same direction as the ear, and you're just going to cut around the ear. You'll do that on both sides. You can cut just a little bit off at a time because you can always cut more lace off, but once you cut too much off, that's kind of it. But here I go again, just cutting that excess lace off. Remember I told you white lace is stubborn, so I'm going in again with that same foundation and just really getting in there, trying to get it as close to the shade of her skin as possible. I'm sealing it in with some Spritz. You don't want to drench the hairline, just lightly mist it. I'm tying an edge wrap around her edges just to melt it. You're going to keep it tied until it's dry, just a few minutes, maybe like 5. In the meantime, I'm going to start styling, setting the foundation.
I'm your most lit client.
Once we decide on a part, I'm going in with my hot comb to get it nice and flat. When you're doing a frontal install, a hot comb is going to be your bestie. This was the farthest over we could part because this wasn't a full frontal. So we ended up changing it to a middle, but same process, make the part and use a hot comb. The elastic band is going to do it every time. So now that we are a little bit melty, we are going to start on our baby hairs. I'm making parts from ear to ear. I'm not parting away too much hair, but just enough for my baby hairs. This is something you can kind of tweak along the way. Because we're working with a low hairline, I don't want the baby hairs too thick. I don't want it to be too much going on in the hairline because it can start looking really unnatural. It can start looking a little crazy if the baby hairs are too heavy, too close to her eyebrows. Now that I have my baby hairs sectioned off, I'm cutting them so they're about 1 to 2 inches. You want to leave the baby hairs long enough that you'll be able to curl them with a pencil flat iron. I'm curling under, so I'm curving under towards her face. Some people curve up. Just try both ways and see which one is easier for you. So we're going to curl from ear to ear, and then I'm grabbing my Nairobi setting foam, and you can either put it in your hand. I like to put it on top of their head because whatever's left over, I'm just going to put around the part to make sure it's nice and flat when I'm done. I'm dipping my edge brush into the foam, and then I'm carving out those baby hairs. I'm first combing down to get the baby hairs nice and saturated, and then I'm curving while holding that baby hair down in place. And I'm going to do that on both sides. What's left over, I push back into the hairline for that relaxed look. She has sat under the dryer for a few minutes. Her hairline is dry now, so now it's time to style. I'm going in with some heat protectant. I believe I used the Icy Fantasia, and then I'm also going in with some Spritz just because I can kind of tell this hair is not going to hold the best curl, and the Spritz will really help. I'm using a wand, and I'm just going to work. Clearly the tea was piping hot right here. But yeah, I'm almost done curling. I'm curling away from her face. I'm going in with a hot comb some more because why not? We like it flat over here. I'm just making sure that anywhere I went too high with the curling wand, I go ahead and iron that out, get it nice and flat. And then I also went in her part with some of that foundation and an angle brush just to sharpen it. Now it's time for the reveal. She is very clearly pleased, but that white lace has beef with me. I already know that. So I'm going in again with some foundation. I think I'm going to use a darker color this time because I'm tired of fighting. You really just have to trust the process because I can still see the lace. You probably can too. But look when she turns to the side and I go in with that darker foundation. Yeah, it's starting to make a whole lot of sense right now.
What? No. Wow. Are you dumb? No, don't play with her. Don't play with it. No. Ah! Yeah. Mm-hmm. Round. Oh, y'all not ready. Y'all not ready for me. I'm telling you right now.
Sometimes the baby hairs get a little messed up under the elastic band in the dryer, so I'm just going in with some green Eco Styler gel and I am reshaping them.
Y'all can't tell me. Y'all can't tell me. Here. Ooh. What?
We still gotta pull the curls out, but it's the backdrop for me.
Are you dumb? No, this is crazy.
Let's pull your curls out.
Oh. Let me just go on TikTok so I'm not so anxious, okay?
The excitement, the passion, the extra, love it. But I'm just pulling the curls out. What I'm doing is I'm going like mid shaft or basically the lower part of the curl and I'm pinching it. I'm pitching the outside of the curls and I'm pulling my finger down. I'm not raking it through. I'm mainly working on the outside of the hair. I hope that makes sense. And if not, I hope the visual helps. When you pull the curls out this way, it's not as stringy. You get less of the noodle look and more of, it just fluffs them out basically without ruining the wand curl look.
Her, bro. Stop.
Silence. I can't. I'm offing it.
Stop playing with her. Stop.
This is our finished look. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was helpful. Leave me some comments below. I'll talk to you soon.
What?
G-Wagon, all the Benz, the Kelly, ride,